and I shall be with you in about 2 minutes or so, just so you can see my screen as well. Let me just confirm. Alright, I've got my screen up and running. You guys hear me okay? Testing 1, 2, 3. Just kindly type into the box so I know that you guys can hear me alright. We've got just a couple of people at the moment. Perhaps we want to wait just a little bit more for more people. Testing, testing. Can you guys hear me okay? Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing 1 2 3. Testing. Guys, could someone just reply and maybe type in the box just for me to be sure that you guys can hear me so we can actually start? Okay, brilliant. Hi there, Wong. Eduardo, thank you very much. Okay, good. So perhaps you want to give me another 2 minutes or so and we shall just get into it. I'm just going to be drawing some patterns onto the chart as you can see me while waiting. All right, we had some very nice move for the an upward move for the GBP USD, and that was a bit of a surprise move, but it did actually follow through an M-like pattern very nicely. And just want to talk about that. And a new pattern has just emerged as well that is signaling a downward move, but I'm not sure whether that would actually be a total change of trend to the downside as yet for the GBP USD. It's a little tricky at the moment for the GBP US dollar because we have got loads of factors pulling it down, but we've got short-term factors on the data release side of things that may be a little positive, so the market is reacting to that as of now. Okay, give me a second. Let me just check. Okay. All right. We shall just get going in a minute or two. All right, we're almost there. Okay, for the ones who are waiting, a very good evening. I mean, the ones who have already logged in and listening to me just now, a very good evening to you. I'm just waiting for a few more people who are having a little bit of an issue to log in, so we're just sorting that out just now. And meanwhile, while you guys are waiting, we can always look at the GBP USD. We have had a session. I've just got back from Malaysia yesterday, and we conducted a 2 days workshop there in Malaysia just before coming here, and we had a few others. So we were looking at the GBP USD, and we have had a how do you call that? A view of a longer-term downward movement for the GBP USD. But then, as you can see, we have got a M-like pattern here that have actually formed, and it, that move there before it reversed up is actually similar as you can see, in length. So that is your ABCD. So that ABCD is attached to a longer move from X to A. That's my X down here, and that have actually formed an M sort of pattern. So the pattern basically would hint that once it has reached somewhere the D area, it would then proceed upwards to E, and that's exactly what's happening now. And we have benefited from that upward movement between D to E, as well as the C to D downward. So that was a very good movement of the M pattern, and now we are looking at possibilities of a new sort of pattern which we call a Z-like pattern that would hint more downward move, and that is actually drawn somewhere here to be similar in length with what we could see here. So that's exactly what's happening now as well. We have had prices almost stalled at that area. It's a bit of a gap there, but we have got signs or signals to hint us that this could be a sort of Z-like pattern, hinting more move. So that's considered sort of completed at that area, and that is usually at the 50% of this longer move. So let's just pull that right down here, and as you can see, we have got it very close to the 50% there. So what I will then do is draw out a pattern like that. Okay. And we're looking at GBP USD based on a 4-hour chart. So what does this pattern mean is that we're expecting prices to actually start to fall somewhere in this area, and if it does actually fall, then it would the target based on the 4-hour chart would be 50% of this move. So we could see it moving. Let me just remove all these horizontal line first. Okay, so the target could potentially be at the 50% area, meaning the falling target would be at the 1.4136 area. So if at all it appreciates even more, it might touch that line of 14268, but the shorting opportunity would look into it aiming at this area here. Okay, so that is for your GBP USD. Of course, if we were to look into the daily chart and look at trend-wise, it is still looking very much on the downward trend, but we are looking at prices at this moment of time appreciating as well from 1 hour to 4 hours. So there are chances of it actually moving upwards or trying to actually gain strength to the upside due to various fundamentals. Okay, so not just yet to actually, you know, tread all your all that you have to the downside at the moment, because it is correcting or retracing for some reason. So we wouldn't want to do that just now. Okay. Give me a second, guys. Okay, so let's look at current attendees. Okay, I think we should actually just begin, and we've begun just a couple of minutes ago, and I'm just looking at GBP USD, guys, and I mean, based on fundamentals, I'm just looking at the EFX news at the moment, looking for any hints of any sort. Today is the 10th, today is the 11th. We have got only one so far article on EFX News giving a brief outlook on majority of the pairs, and we have got neutral on most pairs as given by UOB Bank, but we do have a clear bearish sort of signal for the USD/JPY. It does say that UOB Bank actually is looking at a significant support at the 10650 for the USD/JPY. Let us go to the USD/JPY, and then we'll be able to just sort of look at what UOB is trying to say or what their forecast has been. Let me just look at, I don't see any AUD USD JPY on here, so what I'll just do is open a new one. Give me a second, guys. Alright, so I've got my GBP USD here. Let me just switch that. So I've got USD JPY. Oops. Alright, USD JPY, we're looking at it just now on the 1 hour chart, and we have got some indication of a strong downward movement. As you can see, is a lot more of movement to the downside. As you can see, prices is at the 10840 level, and if I actually zoom in a little bit more using a candlestick chart, as you can see, we have got F movement here. We've got it falling, as you can see, at this point, and then correcting it there. So I would like to just pull my Fibonacci and look at what level has it actually retraced or corrected. As you can see, we've got it at 50% if I've pulled it from there. But if I've gone lower at this level here, you could see it at a 61.8, and then you could also see that there is a sort of double bottom area here, and that usually signals an upward move. Okay, and that is looking to be a sort of correction or a change of trend. We're not sure on the USD JPY, but there is definitely a sort of appreciation in price. As you can see, more power by the buyers here. Okay, and if I look at this level here as a potential Z-like pattern, I will pull that one here and leave it up there, and that could be a sort of potential to the upside, where that could also be a target for the USD JPY 1 hour chart. The reason being, if I pull that from the top to here, that might give me a 50% there, and that usually signals to me a potential Z-like pattern in play, which starts off from here. Okay, so that length is similar to that length here, so I've just put it up here. The reason why I'm not taking it anywhere lower is because we've got a correction there downwards. Okay, so that could potentially be a sort of Z-like pattern, but again, it's rather risky to just do that at this stage without looking at the trend part of it in various other time frames. Now, looking at the 4 hours, yes, as you've got an angle that is quite strong on the downside between 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Okay, even though you've got a bit of correction at the moment. If I go on to the to the daily chart, again, it's actually very much onto a 6 o'clock like angle. So yes, you have got still strong downward momentum for the USD JPY. Okay, and let us take a look. If at all we're looking at indicators, I would always like to apply the trend lines, the moving averages, okay, at 50, all right, 100, just to be sure on candle behavior, on how they have respected or not respected the 3 moving averages. Okay, so I'm doing it on the 100, and let's go on to 100. Got 100 there, and last line 200. Okay, Okay, there we go. So yes, very clear indication even on the longer term for the USD JPY. It's looking like more commentaries by the analysts last week, looking at some collapse of the dollar and all that is slowly coming through. Whether it is or not 100%, we don't know, but certainly the US dollar versus the JPY especially has depreciated to a very large extent. Okay, so we are looking at all sort of areas at the moment. Let's go back to the 1 hour chart. That actually is quite logic to think of it using the market's logic. Of course, if if this were to be a Z-like pattern ending here, then we're expecting it to fall from that level of 10864. Now that level there is quite close to the, as you can see, the 50 moving average, and the behavior of the candle itself is looking like it is respecting or thinking or pausing exactly at that level of 50. As you can see, the wick itself is just, you know, on the dot of that line, signaling that it is noticing some resistance at that level. So if we look left of that level there, you can see you've got you've got quite a number of resistance here. Okay, so if I just put a horizontal line there, as you can see, look left, you do have some resistance there and more resistance here as well as here. So definitely where the candle is pausing at the moment is giving some indication that it's respecting some prices at that level. Okay, it's respecting that area, meaning that it may actually just resist. If at all it decides to actually move upwards, you've got the second line here, the 108.64, to be another level of resistance, because we do have, if we look left, it has acted as support as well as resistance here, and some support here as well, and some more support here, and some resistance here. Okay, so definitely these two levels, between the level that I've drawn in red and the level where the prices have actually paused right at the where the wick has actually paused at that level there, is very close to the 50 exponential moving average area. So that is for your dollar there versus the yen. If you are trading the Z-like pattern, you can always do the cross here, and you could see that this center point could potentially be another support and resistance area there that the prices is actually trading, you know, very close to. So anything below these two levels here, we'll look at prices falling more. Okay, so we're looking at the 1 hour chart at the moment for the US dollar. So there are more, I mean, once they've actually fallen beyond, as you can see, the prices itself is 108.32. We're looking at prices to fall a bit more close to the 20 area. So once it has actually gone under the 20 area, 108.20 and below by 10 pips, then we could see significant pressure to the downside or further downside for the dollar. Okay, what about some other pairs at the moment? I have actually gone over with you on the GBP US dollar. All right, let's revise again. We have some people who've just logged in. So yes, there we go. We have got areas here that we're looking at a Z-like pattern for the GBP USD, signaling a downside move to 141366. So if at all prices is looking like it's pressure to the downside, once you look at more bearish candles moving down, especially with the prices. You've got 1.4240. It is definitely an ideal price to sell, but I would like to be more certain by first looking at the next hour candle to look at more pressure to the downside, and then I could aim at the 4136 area. Okay, so we have got about 100 pips or so. So even though if it is about 80 pips in profit, once you are more sure with the prices and the candle moving downwards, you can easily take profit at that level here at 4136. Okay, or 4130. So that is actually a trading opportunity for GBP US dollar. Let's look at more. We have gone over the USD JPY, but not really on the USD, on the Euro US dollar. So I would like to first clear all the noise that we can see here. Give me a second. Got objects, all the objects that we see. Let me just clear all that out first. Alright, so what are we looking at with the Euro USD? First of all, like always, I would like to zoom totally out and looking at what we see. You could see the angle that we can see on the 1 hour chart from here to there. We've got a sort of a 2 o'clock like angle. Perhaps moving towards the 3, but not really moving too much towards the 3. We've got it quite steady at 2 o'clock angle. Okay, we have got it moving, creating a lot of support, signaling a lot of upward pressure for the Euro USD. Still is looking like a bullish possibility for the Euro US dollar. Okay, if I would like to check very quickly, it'd probably be best to look at the 4 hour chart. Looking at the behavior, it's quite it is still signaling an upward move. The additional line that you can see in white that moves parallel like this is the 34 the 34 high, close, and 34 low, the 34 exponential moving average. Okay, I've added that onto the 3 other very common exponential moving average that I use, the 50, 200, and the 100. Okay, so you have got all of them. Now once more candles have moved above all these lines, as you can see, it's creating more support even on the 34 moving averages that I've applied, and that is again signaling more room to the upside. Okay, and the daily, it is for the long-term chart for the Euro USD, it is definitely above all 3 lines, signaling more potential to the upside. So let's go back to the 1 hour or perhaps the 5 minutes first and look at whether we are looking at whether we could spot any sort of pattern. Now if it were to be on the upside, we're looking for upward like pattern, like the ABCD, a bullish ABCD would be a potential. Now here itself, if I were to zoom in and just focus on that here, that is a potential A, B, C, and D on the upside. Okay, the reason being we're looking at loads of support onto this line, and then we're looking at a potential bullish like candle moving up and down. As you can see, of course it is thinning through, and then as you can see on a live chart has turned between red and green. But let's ignore all that for now and look at Fibonacci level on the C. Okay, so on the C itself, if I were to pull, this becomes my A, B, and my C is very close to the ABCD, very close to the 78.6 pattern. And that ABCD, the C is what we're looking at, which is 78.6, and once we have once we know the 78.6, we can then look at potential to the upside on which where D could potentially land. So we pull the B to C, and we're now looking for the 1.272 only because the C has landed at the 78.6 or close to the 78.6 level. Okay, so this is my potential target on the upside for this ABCD pattern. Of course, I've gone onto the 5-minute chart and look at what is the potential on the upside, and if I want to trade using the 5-minute chart, I can. If I prefer to trade onto the 1 hour, I'll then go to the 1 hour chart and look for the patterns there and start drawing my pattern. But for this case, let's start with a very short potential on the upside, and this is what we get. We get the potential of prices reaching this level here, which is the 1.1430, we can say that, okay, level. So let's just draw that pattern right away. We've got AB here, and we have got CD there, and it's exactly on the dot of what we have drawn previously using the Fibonacci area. So that's my AB, and this is my BC here. Okay, so now we need to convert that into a geometric pattern to allow us the ability to spot a potential or ideal entry point. Okay, so what we do is we'll just go into A right up to D, okay, right there, and the potential or ideal entry point would be here at the 1.1408. Of course, if it is 0.8, we'd like to adjust that because it's only 8 pips away, so we want to make that 10 pips away from the 00 psychological number, making it at 1.1410. So 1.1410 would be an ideal entry point for the Euro USD 5 minutes chart. So 1.1410 would be your ideal buy. Okay, ideal buy level. So let's say we put it there as your ideal buy. So we have marked the 1.1430 or let's mark it as 1.1430 as your potential TP area. So that gives you 20 pips, very short term, to actually have a buy area. Now this could easily be sort of your scalping, but of course for those who scalp would prefer it to be 5, maybe 10 pips or so, maybe less or more, but this is what I can actually let you know of a potential very short term buy signal for the Euro US dollar, okay, at this stage. So you've got 1430 as your TP area right there. Okay, so that's a 20 pips potential, but let's look at what will happen for the Euro US dollar. Now if we go on to the 1 hour chart, let's look at that, and right, we have got loads of room there, and I would like to look at prices moving further up or higher or above all these lines that I've actually put as my moving averages. That would give me a better feel of prices moving upwards, okay, because at the moment it's just dabbling through here and not really moving high up. So I would prefer to have prices moving up further and probably beyond the 20 cycle numbers to give me a little bit more ease in thinking that prices has the confidence as of now to move higher. Okay, what would the other charts be? Now let's look at, perhaps we should look at gold, because gold did indeed appreciate in value, and that was a very good move that it did. We're looking at 1 hour for gold at the moment. We have seen a potential ABCD, and I'll just mark that ABCD here. We've got that AB here, and then if you were to equal AB to CD, then that would give you that movement here. Okay, and that is basically what we've got here. All right, and okay, that's your AB right there and BC right here. Okay, now if I were to first look at where BC has landed. Now the C has landed at the 50%. So if it is 50%, then you need to pull your B to C and project the D at the 200 area, since the C was at 50%. So that was the target there, 200. So 200's right there. Okay. All right. Now let's take that off. Now we have got prices projected at the 1255 area, 0.71 or 1257.05. Now 1 to 55 itself usually is a area that's too close to the psych level of 00. You've got 55, okay, sorry, close to the 50 level, and the 71.71 is too close to the 0.80 level. Okay, so where would we have entered the goal? We would have entered for a buy at the cross area here, so ideally above 1236, ideally, okay, 1236 area. So that's ideally where, of course, at that time prices should also be above the 3 lines, and we could have easily targeted it at 1240 or maybe 1245 and just grab some profits from there, trading one lot on the gold, and you would still benefit, but more room to the upside is expected anyway. So a lot of them would be seeing or looking at the big picture of prices moving close to that area here. So a lot of traders would have actually targeted at the 1262 area or 1270 area just before this area here. Okay, just before 1270 would be most of where most traders are actually looking at the moment. Okay, all right. That is for your gold at the moment. We're just looking at short term at the moment, but what if I get rid of all the noise that we can see and look at it fresh from the start of what we could see from a big picture perspective? Okay, that's on the daily chart for gold. Okay, now we have got prices looking at support here. All right, we have got patterned where, you know, this could be a sort of a Z-like pattern, but let's say we're looking at it in a zoom in perspective. All right, we had prices appreciated from this point here where I'm pointing at with my arrow, going upwards and then correcting it here. So what I'll do is then I'll pull it from here, making it a potential A to B, to look at where my C has actually landed. My C has actually landed very nicely at the 78.6 level. So if I take my AB equals CD somewhere here, then the projected TP area would fall at this point at 1301. Okay, that is of course based on the daily chart. So if at all more appreciation is to follow for the goal, there is also another longer term, not really very long term, but a reasonable higher price at the 1300 area as a potential TP. Okay, so if at all I am marking this as my ABCD, then I'm looking at that area there. That's actually on the dot on where I've marked it. So, and if that were to be my ABCD, then the ideal entry point, as usual, marking it based on the cross there, is at this level here, which is above 1246, which is what's going on now. Now prices are at the 1253.40 area. It's looking like more participation of the bulls, so it's driving prices upwards for the gold. On the daily chart, we go back to the 4-hour chart and let's look at what we are looking at. Okay, we're seeing a lot of a very nice movement. I mean, we've got some support there exactly onto the cross. That cross itself are highly or significant support resistant area. So more room to the upside is expected for the gold as of now, as expected a couple of weeks back, and it's proving to be so for the gold. Okay, for those who are looking or by any chance trading the GBP AUD, we have got some patterns here as well. Now for the GBP AUD, here I'll just draw up the pattern and then explain to you guys. I could see a potential ABCD here, okay, based on what I see there, okay. But prices, as you can see, it has stopped there and came down, but then we're looking at more move for the GBP AUD onto the upside, hopefully, or if at all it reaches this level here, then that is a success for the ABCD pattern to have formed. Okay, so that is basically another potential for the GBP AUD. A lot of traders have been asking me about gold, silver, as well as oil. So let us look at a little bit on what's going on with oil. But before that, I would like to first clear off all the noise or the lines that I've drawn previously, so it's clearer for us to look at. Now let's look at oil for at the 1 hour chart, and here itself we have got loads of strength to the upside. We're looking at lots of appreciation of gold lately, just a matter of couple of weeks or so, and we're looking at a lot of appreciation of gold, of oil, sorry, black gold, to the upside. Okay, now as you can see on the 1 hour chart, it's actually above, and it's just shooting off upwards very nicely. Okay, and for the 4 hours chart, we could see a pattern here. There has been a pattern, a Z-like pattern here, and it indeed has actually appreciated there. Okay, so we're looking at more potential on the upside. As you can see, it's really clean on the upside between 1 hour to the 4 hour chart, meaning from short to medium term for oil, but on the daily chart it still needs more room to go above. So if you're trading on the upside, it's probably best to look at between the shorter term to medium. Better still the shorter term, because prices may just start to fall again tremendously. So we need to actually look at other possibilities that might drive prices of oil down in order for us to look ahead of what might go on. Okay, so if at all we're looking at more potential to the upside, we need to look at the risk area first. What are factors that might drive prices down for oil? We need to look at fundamentals. Reason being, technically we're looking at prices definitely going up on the 1 hour chart, as you can see, but it looked to me, if you are looking left as well, there may be some resistance or support level here. Even though there's support level, this support level may turn into resistance. So these are areas that you would need to be careful with. So if I let's say on the 1 hour chart, looking at prices, as you can see, it's just shooting upwards. Okay, but here itself, if I start off here as my A to B, my C is at the 50 area. So if it is 50, if I decided to have to trade that or have traded that ABCD, then my aim on the upside should be at the 200 or close to the 200 area, which is here. So I should have already stopped my trades at that area, because anything further we're not sure where it's going to stop as yet, because there are no early warning signs as yet to where it could stop. So that is actually a bit of a risk. Okay, so here, if at all we're looking at this one here as my A to B, and looking at my C hasn't even touched my 38.2, so that is a little bit risky for me to take that trade as my ABCD. As of now, I would have already exited my trade based on this A, B, C, D, but as of now I'm just waiting for more pattern and probably not look at anywhere else at the moment. But if we're looking at oil, from a big picture perspective, there's definitely one pattern here that could potentially be another pattern possible for oil, which is a Z pattern. Now that length could be quite similar to that length there, but again it has progressed upwards very nicely, so that means that pattern may have just not turn out as good as it was expected to. So that again signals more movement to the upside, but poses some risk as well of big corrections to the downside, and that level of correction poses a risk to those who wants to buy at this stage, especially when you have got your prices at 40. Okay, 40, very close to that 50 area. Yes, you do have some room to the 50, but trading oil is probably a little bit more you know risky, or poses more risk as well, because you're trading by the barrels. Okay, like gold, you're trading as well by the ounces, so it's quite different. There are many lots in gold and oil. Is very different from what you would get lot sizes wise for the currencies. Okay, so at this stage I would rather stay away and look at fundamental factors first, because the fundamental factors for oil has not actually really settled down as yet. We've just got a hint of this and that is affecting oil. And mind you, you've got loads of data releases for the currencies, and it's probably nice to look at volatility impacting the formation of some patterns for currencies as opposed to oil at this stage. So I would say maybe look into currencies like the euro, the GBP, even the dollar versus the yen, and look for patterns there as opposed to oil at this stage, even though it is actually looking like it is just rising up. But as fast as it rises, it may just fall and disappoint for those who are looking at too far up at this stage for oil. Perhaps you want to wait for the middle of the week to decide about oil. So next we're looking to the Euro JPY. Just very quickly, we have got, let's just go into the 1 hour chart first for Euro JPY. Okay, and let's look at this here. For the Euro JPY, as you know, Euro is looking very much on the upside. If we go onto megatrendfx.com, looking at the strength indicator tool, you'll be able to look at more appreciation for Euro to the upside. But here itself, we have got sort of like a W-like pattern, okay, which means that even though you've got an ABCD like this for the 1 hour chart, okay, I'll just draw out the ABCD first. Prices at the moment for Euro JPY is trading at 123, very nice number, 123.6566 area. Okay, now I'll just draw the ABCD, okay, like that. Right, so we have got an area it's expected to rise up towards to, which is this area here, right, at the 124.55 area. I'll get rid of that line. Now this ABCD, okay, ABCD here, right? So more room for Euro JPY to that area there, but then attached to this ABCD is a bigger move that we could take maybe from here, all right? And that calls for a potential W-like pattern. If at all this is a successful W-like pattern, what that signals is a potential downside move after it has reached the D here. So I would label that as my X, A, B, C, D. And a W is usually called a bearish formation or pattern. Okay, so that is a possibility. Now, if at all I pull my A to B, and look at where my C, the C is at 78.6. So if it is 78.6, then my D could potentially be 1.272 after pulling it from B to C. Okay, so pulling it from B to C would give you that potential TP area, which was very close to the initially drawn horizontal rate line, okay, which is a good sign. So let's unclick that. Oop. Right, take that away. Okay, now the other thing is, if I want to confirm this W-like pattern, I would like to look for divergence, and I usually use the volume indicator as a rough indicator to look for divergence. What I mean by that is that, let's say divergence, in other words, is just opposite movement. So that is a move down here, right? From this top right down here is a movement down. But if you take that movement from this area here on the volume indicator, that's a movement up. All right, so that is a divergence, meaning that we've got opposites. And usually if you've got opposites, you are increasing a little bit your probability of that pattern. Okay, so hence the reason I like that pattern here, which is giving me a hint that yes, prices would probably go up for the Euro JPY based on a 1 hour chart, but I also see a risk of prices going up at the 124.550 area, and then looking at a move down after. Okay, so it might actually be a trend continuation or a continuation pattern, meaning that the overall trend, as you can see here, it's still a downward like trend. But for now, based on the 1 hour chart, it may actually just appreciate in value for the euro. Now, if we go on to daily chart, it is still signaling a lot of downward pressure for the euro since you've got prices under the 3. But again, it's too soon to say, since prices not really very far from the 3 lines. Anything could happen, but let's concentrate on the 1 hour chart and the 4 hour chart. 4 hour chart, yes, it's very much below the 3 lines, and hence we're looking at the potential of a W-like pattern as opposed to an M pattern. Okay, so it's signaling for the Euro JPY. Again, Euro USD may be different, Euro JPY may be different. Okay, even though it's both connecting it to the euro, as I've mentioned many times before, each pair may have their own personality due to the fact that they are pegged with different currencies, and that different currencies may revolve around different factors that may actually make it move upwards or downwards. Okay, so that is roughly how it would look like for the 1 hour chart for the Euro JPY. As of now, this is probably your short-term trading opportunity on the upside for Euro JPY, looking at a buy anywhere at this area here. Okay, for a buy opportunity anywhere above the cross, as we can see here, which is above the 123.57, or make it 60, 123.60 area for an ideal buy, because now it's already at 66. So you're looking at a buying entry at that area and a take profit at below 124.50 area. 124.40 would be ideal. Okay, so that is your Euro JPY potential trade opportunity. Shall we then move on to, let's say, USD CAD? Are there any opportunities there? We have got prices moving downwards at the moment based on the 1 hour chart. Probably best is to look at opportunities based on what you look at, what you could see on economic data releases based on the economic calendar, and then peg or pair up pairs depending on that. But also don't forget to look at Megatrend FX to be able to look at trend from the bird's eye perspective, and then you're combining it there. Okay, we're looking at USD CAD at the moment. We have got some movement upwards. We've got an A here, B here, C, potentially D there, but we don't know that until we pull a bit of Fibonacci from here, A to B, giving us the C at 1272, so sorry, C at 78.6, so that gives us 1.272 as the potential movement down, and it has already gone under it. So once it's gone under that, that signals more downtrend for the USD, and again it mirrors what's going on at the USD JPY 2, meaning that the USD is going through a lot of downward pressure, as we can see. Okay, technically especially. So this is what we can see. Perhaps a little look at the AUD, but before AUD JPY, perhaps we go on to AUD US dollar. Okay, got Euro USD, AUD JPY. Before we go AUD US dollar, we have got something that mirrors what we've just seen just now as with the Canada. We've got a W pattern here as well. Okay, as you can see, this pattern mirrors what we have previously seen on some other pairs. We've got a 78.6 here, and if we take AB equals CD, that's what we're looking at as a potential for the D reaching that area there. Okay, and pulling that, since C is 78.6, we pull that here, looking at a potential 1272, so 1.272 is just there. Okay, all right, so that is a potential, and again we're looking at a W-like pattern here, signaling a turn of trend around that area there. Okay, so I'll just draw that W first, right? Okay, there we go. So at the moment, C is traveling towards D, and a potential turnaround of where I've drawn the two horizontal rate lines. Okay, so there we go. Brilliant. So a W-like pattern, another opportunity at the AUD JPY 1-hour chart. If at all we go on to the 5 minutes chart, we're looking at, yes, some room to the upside. We've got at 12 o'clock, almost 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock, very, very steep angle, and that's the W-like pattern for the 5 minutes chart as well. Okay, so that's what we're looking at, more room to the upside. Okay, we've got the angle itself is looking at more room on the upside. We go into 30 minutes chart. It's the same 12 o'clock angle. A lot of movement onto here, but again, as you can see, we have got a downward move overall. So that might just be a corrective move here, and hence it's a W right there. Okay, on the AUD JPY. What about the GBP JPY? Again, we're looking at a lot of similar like pattern, W-like pattern at the very bottom. Okay, meaning it's a continuation pattern of what we are looking at now. We've got a very big downward movement for GBP JPY. That is a W that just confirms it, meaning that is a corrective move upwards towards D, and then boom, might be looking at a downward move. Let us very quickly zoom in on GBP JPY, make that a candlestick, and let's just look at this A here, B here, and C 88.6. So 88.6 will give my D potentially at 113 if I pull my B to C. Okay, and we're looking at it already reaching the 113 here, so it's about time for it to actually make a downward move. As you can see, the candles are signaling a downward move already for the GBP JPY. Okay, so that upward move is a correction. I think I've got some question coming through. Hi there, Sachin. How are you doing? Sachin, you've asked me now, hi Kenny, if you have the time, I could please look at, yes, sure. We'll look at USD JPY once again, no problems. Okay, let us do that. So that is what's going on with GBP JPY. So it is due for a move downwards now, since it's actually ended very close to the 113. So it may just be time for it to move downwards. So let's look at what will happen in the next hour or so. Okay, for the GBP JPY. Okay, Sachin, let's go to your USD JPY. Let's see. Okay, USD JPY on a 1 hour chart. Okay, I've spotted a sort of Z-like pattern here. Okay, and I've started it from here. There are reasons for that. Okay, Z pattern usually has got a move up here, down, and then it forms a Z pattern here. Now on the 1 hour chart, whilst zooming in, zooming out, as you can see, you've got a lot of correction, a lot of bounce from the moving averages, and then you've got another test here, and then coming downwards again. So that is signaling more bearishness move for the USD JPY. So just a lot of strength to the downside. Okay, if I go on to the 4 hour chart, similarly, I'm looking at lots of candles moving away and further away downwards from the 3 moving averages that I have plotted here. Okay, that again is signaling more downward pressure for the USD JPY. And when I go on to the daily chart, which is the longer term chart, again it is signaling a lot of downward pressure for the USD JPY. So USD JPY is giving me more strength to the downside as what I can see. So that is actually giving me more trading opportunities for the sell side, for the shorting side. Okay, and here if I zoom in a little bit, the target for that downward move for the very short term could easily be 50% of that move here. Okay, from here to this angle, this area here. So that is not very much, of course, but we're looking at it to go further down. What you can do then is you could make that an ABCD by taking that away. All right, so you've got your A here, B and C, and further downwards. So we're looking at more pressure. Let's take it like that. Okay, oops. Okay, so let's say you're looking at an ABCD like that, right? So you've got a short-term sort of target down here. All right, but again, you would like to measure your probability by entering at the cross area or under the cross area here. So I'm looking at a possibility of entering 108.01 and under 108.01 would be ideal selling. At the moment it is close, but not just yet, so it'd probably be better to go under that psych number as well. Okay, so 108.01 and under would be your ideal selling area. I just need to measure the C first based on Fibonacci, and the C is at 50 area, the 50%, so that would mean that my D could potentially be at the 200 area. So there we go. Right, so 200 is roughly lower than where we have done that. So that's your rough zone of where prices could fall towards to based on your ABCD. So you've got two choices of your TP area, but first wait for your prices to go under that center line 108.01, under that for your ideal entry, and to target your TP at 106.97 to 106.82. Perhaps you want to TP above 106.97. Okay. All right, so that is for your USD JPY. Okay, any questions there, Sachin, on the USD JPY? You want to also look left here. This is a concentration area here. So if I were to draw some extra line here and here to make out a support resistance zone. Okay, there you go. This is my support resistance zone right here. There. That's the support resistance zone here. Okay, so under that line would under that zone, perhaps at this gap area, might look into bigger movements for the USD JPY, meaning maybe a longer sort of candle to pierce through that area and give you more ability, give traders more ability or confidence for prices to reach this area here. Okay, so let's look at what happens. Fundamentally, it is actually looking like the dollar is pressured big time. Has a lot of reason for that. If you look up onto efxnews.com or on Forex Crunch and various other sources, they are actually expecting more fall for the USD JPY. A lot of fundamentals affecting it mainly. Okay. Alright guys, so that's basically it, just going through some trade opportunities. If we go on to USD JPY as USD CHF as well, it's the same. It would be totally opposite of what you look at in Euro US dollar because it's highly negatively correlated between the Euro USD and USD CHF. Okay, most welcome. Fantastic, Sachin. Thank you very much. Okay. So good luck, all the very best for that as well, Sachin, on your USD JPY. I'm sure that you're already on a selling trade for that. Okay, so yeah, it's on the downside on that one. Also, because on the USD JPY, you can see that the distance between these moving averages are giving you good signal on the downside, but it's just the angle of how, you know, the angle of these lines are not very steep, which also mean there's some limited sort of downward move, and it signals possibility of a very soon correction. Okay, so watch out for that too. So let's look at what happens here. Here, if you've got a biggish candle penetrating through that blue zone that I've marked through, and then coming downwards, then your possibility of it reaching here is very high, and then a correction probably around this area. Okay, all right, good. So that's all, folks, for now. Looking at just some potential trading opportunities. Of course, we have got good trading opportunities this whole week. Today being a Monday, but we're looking at Tuesday onwards. Tomorrow, we've got lots of data releases. Do look up your economic calendar and filter out high-impact news, high-impact data releases. Sorry, and then look up look them up and see and look for pairs that connect to them. Okay, as you can see, we've got GBP JPY. Just as we were talking about it, it's already making a downward move at the D level here. Okay, because you've got the W-like pattern. So yes, you have got loads of opportunities as laid out earlier on for various pairs, including gold and silver, as well as oil, but oil probably best to have a bit more of a read on the fundamentals, because there are lots of fundamentals that are going to be surprising as well. So gold is very much correlated to these geopolitical news. Okay, not as of yet, but best to have your eyes and focus on to some currencies, perhaps the majors first. But if you're looking at crosses, you can look at areas like the Euro crosses, the GBP crosses, as well as the Australia and Canadian crosses. Okay, all right, guys. Just got one question coming up. How far down? Eduardo, how are you doing? ¿Cómo estás? You're asking about GBP, JPY. How far can it all go? We can actually look at it technically now and trade it by stages as opposed to too far down. GBP, JPY, we're looking at it here. Now, short term, looking at 1 hour, so we're planning for short term. Usually that's your ABCD, right? Now you've got AB there, correct? And then you've got CD here roughly. Okay, it stopped around that. So what you usually do is you take your C to D, okay, and you could look at short term between 50% to 61.8%, as your potential target down. This is you planning in stages, not too far down. Okay, so that is planning stages 154. Now if at all you're looking at, that's your AB equals CD. Now look at the price 154.01, 154, 154, perhaps 155. Okay, it's five pips up below your no, 55. It should actually be under your 50 area. Okay, under your 50 area. But again, it's not very ideal in planning a short-term downward move at this stage because you've got very little room. But if at all you want to aim off already in it as a sell, that's your rough target area here. Okay, that's the area roughly. Okay, that is trading D to E basically, because that's my A, B, C, D, and anything above here, for example, it's my W-like pattern. Right? Okay, and usually if you pull your X to A, you can see that the reversal is always quite close to the 61.8. Or the 78.6. Let's see. Could easily make that my X to A, so that's the W. Alright, so it's time for a reversal downwards. So that is the aim, the target area for now, for the short term, because it's a bit too risky to aim anything further at this stage and go for a sell. Not just yet for the GBP JPY. Alright, so hope that's clear, Eduardo. If you look into the daily chart, you could see that you may have more room planning for the how do you call that, longer term. You've got more room, meaning more room for your TP if you're looking at your daily chart, because here you've got an A, B, and then C and further down, and if you aim that downwards, then pull that A to the B and look at C perhaps close to the 50% and take that AB equals CD. Potentially you have got that area there. Okay, right? Always go into your 5 minutes chart, look at what's going on there, whether you've got more room. You definitely have more room on the downside, looking at the behavior of how candles and that the bears are actually dominating, even on the 5 minute chart. So from short to medium, you've got lots of rooms on the downside. Perhaps you want to hold on for the long term first because you might be due for some correction first. Okay, let me see, we have got, if you pull that one up here, this is a short-term support there, okay, based on the 5 minutes chart, 153.83. all right. Okay, I think that's all time that we have, and if you guys got any questions, you can still ask, and we will move on and meet again next week. Okay, Eduardo, thank you very much, most welcome. Okay, thank you, Bato. All right, I've just got some pairs for you guys, so happy pipping, guys, and we will be meeting again same time next week, Monday. Okay, and it's 2 p.m. GMT now. Yeah, it's not 1 p.m. due to the change of daylight saving time. Okay, change of time. So it's 2 p.m. every Monday, live webinar, and we'll see you again. Okay, all the very best. Happy pipping indeed. Yes, Batu. Thank you. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.